So inside the body bag this season is Saz Pataki, played by Jane Lynch. That's the androgynous female stunt double of Charles Hayden Savage, leaving Mabel, Oliver and Charles in a bit of a pickle as they try to uncover exactly why Saz took the bullet, and this ultimately turns into one of the most complex murder mysteries of any of the seasons thus far. So the thing that keeps audiences coming back to Only Murders in the Building is the chemistry between Selena Gomez, Martin Short and Steve Martin. The ingrained friendship which has been between these two comedy legends for decades more than I care to remember really comes through, and it's the easy repartee, it's the easy one-liners, and the fact that actually the writing is really solid. You have Eva Longoria, you've got Eugene Levy, and you've got Zach Galifianakis coming in, playing, shall we say, the alternate versions of these podcasters. Yes, that's right, Murders in the Building is being turned into a movie. So in the event of sounding like a stuck record, that's right, Only Murders in the Building is going to get a 4 out of 5 on the big old 5 scale from me. Why? Because the characters are endearing, the chemistry is solid, the cameos are excellent, and the writing remains inventive. So based on the 2019 film of the same name, basically what Guy Ritchie has done with this series is he's taken the Matthew McConaughey element of the weed farm under the aristocratic pile and expanded it out. And what you get basically is a really clever, comedically tight, savagely written little script. You've got an epic ensemble. Theo James is excellent as Eddie Halstead, who basically is a soldier. He's in the military. He has to come back because his father's dying. His father dies, and then ultimately he then gets given the dukedom and the land and the money and everything else. And ultimately what Daniel Ings, his brother Freddie, has to contend with is the fact that he's been passed over. Why? Because he's just an absolute bloody mess of a man. I think the thing that kept me coming back and keeps me coming back to The Gentleman, it isn't so much that those Guy Ritchie touchstones, so the sort of stylish comedic ultra violence tied together with a very, very sharp script, in part written by Matthew Reid as well as Guy Ritchie and a number of others. It's the fact that in this you've got pathos, you've got emotional depth to the characters. Vinnie Jones as the gamekeeper is just exceptional. It's a very small part comparatively speaking, but it really does. It shows, for anyone who's followed Guy Ritchie stuff for some time, as I have, you can see that Jones, how he's evolved and how he's matured as an actor and how he feels comfortable working with Ritchie in that environment. So unsurprisingly, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 on the big old 5 scale. Why? Because it's excellent. The characters are great. The story's solid. Just the whole feel of it feels fresh and vibrant, and it's funny as hell. So the great thing about Kaos, which is currently streaming on Netflix, is if you know nothing about Greek mythology and you pay attention, then you'll learn an incredible amount. This is a classics lecture packed into a limited series, but the problem also is if you know nothing about Greek mythology, then you're going to get lost, you're going to flounder, you're going to be wondering why this show doesn't come with Cliff Notes or York Notes, and you might actually become slightly indifferent and ultimately switch off, which is a real shame because this is an excellent show. So I'm not saying that Kaos isn't an excellent show, but there comes with a caveat. Yes, I hate the word, but I'm going to use it. So if you don't know Dionysus, if you don't know Hera, Cassandra, the Fates, the Furies, Poseidon, Prometheus, even Zeus, if you don't know any of these people, these legends, these sort of mythological figures, then Kaos becomes quite arduous. It becomes quite emotionless because you can't make emotional investment because this feels more like an academic exercise. So for the first time, I'm going to give a show 2 ratings. So if you know nothing about Greek mythology, you're going to give this I would give this a 3 out of 5 on the big old 5 scale. If on the other hand, you know your classics and you are prepared to apply that knowledge to a television show, this is a 5 out of 5 on the big old 5 scale. So it really depends where you sit in terms of the sliding scale, literally, of your knowledge of the subject. So for every polished and packaged action thriller released by Netflix, and yes, I'm looking at you, the Union, you get something purely sublime, by which I mean Rebel Ridge. That's right, the Jeremy Saulnier written and directed thriller really is slow burn stuff on a masterclass level. In comparison, if I can go back that far to Rambo First Blood, this really is a battle of wills between Aaron Pierce playing Terry, who is ex-military looking just to post bail for his brother, is being held on possession charges, and Don Johnson, who plays the county sheriff. There is that dynamic that you get in the original First Blood between Sylvester Stallone's John Rambo and Brian Dennehy's sheriff, where as much as he tries to avoid conflict, as much as he tries to avoid confrontation, he keeps getting pulled back in, and the pure screen presence of Pierce in this role is worth every minute of your time. So Rebel Ridge may rely on the corrupt nature of law enforcement and the fact that Terry gets his bail money confiscated in quotation marks early on, and which gives him the impetus to carry on through the movie. But also you've also got the central dynamic between the county sheriff and Terry as they sort of, as I said, there's this clash of wills almost. You've also got the underpinning sort of racial element, because obviously Aaron Pierce is an actor of colour, and so that feeds into the sort of the deep south, sort of deep rooted, shall we say, civil rights element underneath the story itself. So I'm going to be giving Rebel Ridge a 5 out of 5 on the big old 5 scale. Why? Because it really, it's one of those rare things. It's a slow burn thriller that really works. It's got a cast of real top quality. The writer director knows exactly what he's doing when he dials up the tension on things, and it really just plays out, and it has a logical conclusion, and there's no winners. So written by Susie Miller and directed by Justin Martin, who would go on to direct Stranger Things First Shadow, which is just transferred to Broadway. Prima Facie is essentially a 90-minute monologue from Jodie Comer on stage. It's a one-person railroad of a play. She is absolutely dynamic as the young barrister Tessa. She is a prosecutor in chambers, and literally Comer is the only person on stage throughout. She moves around the props, she changes on stage, it's all third person essentially, so she's telling a story. It's highly dynamic, incredibly interactive, incredibly emotional, and it's a sucker punch of a play. So ultimately Prima Facie digs into sexual politics in the workplace, and also the bias towards men as being the innocent party in any given, shall we say, sexual liaison. It's the no means no conversation. It also digs a lot deeper into giving a personal and very sort of grounded and powerful interpretation and point of view from that of a rape victim, because within the confines of the play, Tessa turns from prosecutor of a person in a witness box to the person in the witness box having experienced a professional a rape in a, shall we say, a professional environment. It's a horrible subject, but it's also incredibly important because it needs a platform, and theatre and film, theatre specifically, especially in the hands of such a talented actor, really drives the point home. So this needs to be seen in cinemas. I can't be any more emphatic than that. So I'm going to be giving Prima Facie a 5 out of 5 on the big old 5 scale. Jodie Comer really is an absolute force of nature in this play. It is very much like Andrew Scott and Vanya, where he played every single character. She does it, but she does it with a temerity and a sort of tenaciousness, and there is sheer bloody emotion up on that stage, and it's worth every minute of your time. So CODA, which stands for Children of Deaf Adults, was incredibly important for a number of different reasons. Yes, it was financed by Apple, which had nothing to do with anything really, but also what it did is explored the family drama, the family dynamic, a completely different way, because you're looking at primarily an entirely deaf family played by Troy Cosner as the father, Mari Maitland as the mother, and Daniel Durant as brother to Ruby, played by Amelia Jones, the coda of the title in question. but it also explored the interconnection of the hearing community and the prejudices between that and obviously the deaf community. So where the emotion of this film really comes to life is the interconnection between Ruby and her family, and the fact that she likes to sing. This is one of her passions, and it's the heartbreaking element of they can't hear it, they can't enjoy it in the same way that she does, and it's the little things like, rather than being able to hear the music, her father has the music up really loud because he can hear the vibrations coming through the floor, so he really likes his music loud. He likes rock music, and it's that sort of, it's that striving to connect, it's that sort of that effort that her family's, that, you know, they're still there to support her, even though they can't truly enjoy or appreciate her talent. And yes, it does pull on the heartstrings. Yes, it is emotionally manipulative, but ultimately Emilia Jones and Marley Maitland and Troy Costner and Daniel Durant do such an incredible job in this film. It keeps it low-key, it keeps it intimate, it keeps it very very human, and it's a very honest film. And I think, you know, from my point of view, I got emotive, I got weepy, which never happens, and it got me at the same place every time. So I'm giving CODA a 4 out of 5 on the big old 5 scale. This really is an Oscar-worthy movie, or at least it is to me. I think the screenplay is excellent. I think the acting across the board is exceptional, and it also has a very honest emotional core to it. Apartment 7A is directed by Natalie Erica James, best known for her film Relic, which was released in 2020 and starred Emily Mortimer. This time round, Apartment 7A is a straight remake of Rosemary's Baby, the movie from '68, which was directed by Roman Polanski, starred Mia Farrow and John Cassavetes. Itself was an adaptation of the Ira Levine novel of the same name. This time round, Julia Garner's character is a dancer. She breaks her ankle in a nasty accident. She is unable to find work or recover from the injury until she finds herself outside the Branford, which is where Alan Marchand, the theatrical director, lives and breathes. But once inside and she encounters the, shall we say, creepy residents of this uptown Manhattan apartment block, things go a little bit pear-shaped. I feel the problem is with Apartment 7A is it doesn't really have that much tension. There's not a great deal of horror. People know the story if they've watched Rosemary's Baby. Julia Garner really is, she's given such a disservice in this movie because she is such a talented actress, and yet the material and ultimately the film, which unravels or unpacks itself around her, isn't strong enough to support the central performance. It's just quite a thinly written piece. It's quite aware of the homage of the legacy behind the Roman Polanski movie, and how much, should we say, how much reverence it has been afforded over the years, whether or not that's justified or not. So sadly, I'm going to be giving Apartment 7A, which is on Paramount Plus from the 27th of September, a 3 out of 5 on the big old 5 scale. It simply isn't firing on all cylinders. It doesn't do enough to make this feel like a necessary film to have been made. There's not enough originality there. Even the homages don't have enough twist. It's just a little bit of a disappointment. On that note, I'm going to move on to my trailer. Let's do that next. And so it is, you've reached the end of the video review for Apartment 7A, which is going to be streaming on Paramount Plus from the 27th of September. Stars Julia Garner, Kevin McAnally and Diane Wiest. If you've liked this video, then give me a thumbs up. Failing that, you can always just drop a comment in the comment box below and I will respond. And finally, just subscribe so that every Tuesday and every Saturday when I drop another one of these videos literally into your lap, then you'll get a little notification and you can pop in and watch or listen to as much or as little as you'd like, and then go about your day. In the meantime, check out the rest of the channel and maybe pop over to the Patreon page. Take care. Cheers now. Bye-bye.